What's going on, everybody? Thank you so much for wrapping up your week with us right here on a Friday, leading off on the Fantasy Pros MLB YouTube channel. That's right, we are back on YouTube. We've been on Twitch most of the season, but for the stretch run, we are going to be on YouTube. So make sure you get a subscribing Fantasy Pros MLB on YouTube. I'm joined by my good friend and co-host here, Casey Bubba. Great to be back with you, my friend. It's a nice Friday. We got a full slate of baseball, and I was thinking yesterday as I was putting the sheet together, only so many days left in the year where we have 30 baseball teams playing. So going to relish it while we can.
Yes, no, it's oh so close. Oh so close to coming down to the wire. Did a week 26 fab preview last night. We have 2 fab periods to go, Joe. It's nuts that we do all the off-season, preseason stuff and go, man, it's such a long grinding season and it's already the end, which is crazy.
I know every year it seems like we're like, oh, wow, it's already opening day. It's already the All-Star break. And now it is already the stretch run of the season. I think every team is at about 145, 146 games. So we are right down to the stretch run here. Make sure you guys are throwing your questions and comments into the chat. Very much appreciate that as we head back over here to YouTube. We will answer your questions a little bit later on in the show once we get through with some of the headlines. And I'm wearing the Blue Jays hat. You guys know my affiliations. Let's talk some Kevin Gausman. He was the standout performer from yesterday. A third complete game of his career. He came one pitch short of a Maddox. It was exactly 100 pitches against the Astros. The complete game, no runs, 9 strikeouts, 2 hits, and 1 walk. Kevin Gausman has been phenomenal as of late. He started off the year and it was like, okay, not too bad, but there was a couple of real stinkers early on, a few 6 earned run outings, 7 earned runs here and there. But really over the last 2 months or so, Kevin Gausman has been phenomenal. He's reestablished himself as the Blue Jays ace, and he is at this point a top 20 pitcher on Fantasy Player Rater. So heading into 2026, is Kevin Gausman somebody that you would want to trust again, buy back into? He is 34 years old, going to be 35 at the start of next season, Bubba. So where's your interest level right now on Mr. Kevin Gausman?
Yeah, I'm still interested. It's always comes down to the splitter for Gausman. If he can utilize that, the rest of the game kind of plays together. Age is always a concern, but I feel like he's got a few more years in, and we said that with Wheeler forever. Finally caught up, I guess. But you can make things work. I guess when I'm interested in Gausman, it's more of at best an SP3 on my fantasy team. I'd love to have him as an SP4. I don't want to have to go to battle with Gausman as one of my aces. Let's put it that way. But I would definitely like him as a piece of the puzzle. He could be good for another couple of years, like especially if this Jays team brings your boy back to play shortstop. Like you guys could be pretty good up there.
Yeah, the thing with Gausman is the splitter. He's always lived and died by the splitter. And this year, it's been okay, but the fastball has been a lot better in terms of run value and things of that nature. His fastball has been very good, and the velocity has been ramping up recently. So very excited to see him in the stretch run here. I think if I was ranking starting pitchers for next season, as of right now, he'd probably be in the top 30, 35-ish range, something like. Does that sound about right, Bubba?
Yeah, I think he'll fall back. I don't disagree with you, but I just think with so many young arms calling up these days, like I've had questions like Nolan McLean, is he top 40? Like Ryan Weathers, as he pitched, will probably talk about him. Is he like? There's so many in that top 40 discussion that the veteran usually kind of falls back a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair, and he may end up being one of those boring names, and everybody else is pushing up the rookies. Sometimes it's the boring guys that you're getting in the middle 100 picks, 100 to 200 range that can really help you out. So Kevin Gausman, let's keep that price cheap. But if he keeps up these complete games, I don't know how cheap that price is going to be heading into next year. Chandler Simpson, let's talk about him. I don't know if we've talked a ton about him on the show. I don't know if you and I have discussed Chandler Simpson, but he went 4 for 4 yesterday, had a run and a stolen base. He's hitting .292 now with 40 steals in 96 games. There are some shortcomings from a fantasy point of view. He has not hit a home run. He may never hit a home run. 23 RBI. So there are some things that you got to worry about. But overall, Chandler Simpson, I think, does fit a specific type of fantasy team where you do have a lot of power and you just need to catch up in speed and in terms of stolen bases and runs. He went in the middle of the 7th round of that early draft you guys did, right around pick 100. Does that feel about right for Chandler Simpson, or does it really just come down to the team you've constructed around him?
Well, first, it always comes down to the team, but someone will take him by that point in the draft, I feel like, because if he starts the season with them, which why wouldn't he at this point? You're talking about a guy that legit could steal like 70 to 80 bases. Like, there's no reason he can't. And if he hits 290, batting average just such a frugal thing. Like, it comes down to you pair him with a Jordan, a Vlad, like a Pete Alonso. So to your point, the roster construction, I'm not a guy that likes rabbits. It's just not my forte. But Chandler Simpson will be on many teams, probably 6th, 7th round in a 15-teamer. And just for that potential to steal 80 bases, which is really sounds crazy, is not out of the realm. And then you mentioned the runs scored. This is a guy that can score 100 runs while hitting 290 and steal 80 bases. So at least he's 3 out of 5 categories. He's not like a complete walk.
Yeah, this reminds me of Juan Pierre. I think he is essentially Juan Pierre. I don't know, like Billy Hamilton also feels kind of right, but I don't know if Billy Hamilton was nearly as good of a pure hitter as Chandler Simpson is. He wasn't the guy that was going to hit 300. Juan Pierre, many times in his career, hit 300, stole 60 to 70 bases, scored 100 times. Now, he hit 18 home runs over 2,000 games, and that's probably what you could expect out of Chandler Simpson. But in the right build, it's very interesting. Ryan Roof, the build that he took Chandler Simpson in for this draft is fascinating. We talked about it on Sleeper in the Bust. Kyle Schwarber and Kyle Raleigh, the huge power guys, and he paired it with Chandler Simpson and Jacob Wilson, the extreme batting average and speed guys. Do you tend to like going on both ends of the extreme there, or would you prefer to play the more balanced Brian Reynoldses of the world as opposed to the extreme ends?
Well, I never Brian Reynolds, but to your point, I'm a boring is beautiful, balanced type guy more often than not. Like, especially in the first few rounds, I try to get as many 5 category studs as possible early on and build around that. Again, though, like you said, if it's roster construction, it makes a ton of sense to go. If you go Schwarber, Raleigh early, go and get your Chandler and Wilson coming up to pair with them. I get it. It's not a build for me. Definitely could work though.
Yeah, I think it definitely could. It'll be interesting to follow. And Ryan Roof is a very smart guy and a good fantasy player. So I'm going to be following that team, and I'll be interested to see where it does end up in the standings. Let's talk about Andrew Abbott, another guy who maybe has fallen under the radar a little bit this season, but he has been great for pretty much the duration of 2025. Yesterday it was another 8 innings, or excuse me, actually, this one was from Wednesday. Yesterday we had a bit of a short slate, so I did take a couple things from Wednesday. 8 innings, 1 run ball against the Padres, 6 strikeouts, and 2 walks for Mr. Andrew Abbott. For the year as a whole now in 151 innings, it's a 2.79 ERA and a 1.13 whip. Now, personally, I don't love some of the supporting metrics being not what you want to see, really. A 21% strikeout rate is whatever. He has a 436 xFIP. The Sierra is at 424. I feel like he might be overperforming a little bit this year, and I think Andrew Abbott might be a guy who's overdrafted a little bit in 2026. Bubba, but what do you feel about the young guy?
He's always a tricky one for me because he did the same thing in the past. His stat line does not match the underlying metrics when it comes to Andrew Abbott. Like, you got the 2.79 ERA, which is outstanding, but we're talking a 4.24 Sierra, which sounds a little bit more like what Andrew Abbott does. Dude's got a 48.5% fly ball rate in Great American Small Park, but an 8.1% home run to fly ball. That feels like you're just waiting for disaster. Now he limits the hard contact. That's part of the benefit of what he does. That's what keeps him out of trouble. There's just a lot of layers to him, and he's got a 15% K to walk. Again, it's good, but not elite. BABIP's 267. There's just a lot of things that point to a trouble coming his way. That's how he's always operated. So Abbott will not be a priority for me. I would be willing to take the Abbott risk if I knew he had like a 20% K to walk. Like, if he's striking out a ton of guys, I could suffer the blow up once in a while from the home runs. But if he's not striking guys out, he's putting so many balls in play, I'm terrified.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like the safest floor. You really laid it out well there. The fly balls in Great American Ballpark, the lack of strikeouts. There's a lot to be worried about, but I feel like in like standard home leagues where people are playing with their buddies, they're not going to dig as deep. They're going to see Andrew Abbott had a great year on the surface, and he's somebody that I feel like is going to be overdrafted, and you might see him once we ramp up into 2026, 6 players to fade, that type of article, that type of video. You may be seeing Andrew Abbott in 1 or 2 of those, depending on the price. I was thinking I was going to be saying the same thing about Mookie Betts heading into next year, that he would be a big fade. And I still think that he may be a fade for me, but man, has he ever turned it around. Over the last month, Mookie Betts is hitting 352 with a 174 WRC plus, 7 homers, 26 ribbies. He's been really, really good over the last month. The season numbers as a whole are not great. Now, Bubba, I think we talked about this maybe a week or 2 ago, and from what I remember, you were not the biggest of Mookie fans at this stage of his career. Has what he's done recently kind of changed your mind a little bit, or are you still leaning towards fading him?
I'm still fading him unless, maybe he falls back into round 2, early round 3 conversation, which he won't, because there are Mookie lovers out there. The dude's super talented. Dude had an amazing season a while back in, he had 39 homers in 2023, 35 in 2022. Last 2 seasons have been injury filled and just overall production's down. He's had a couple if he doesn't max out the power, it's tough because he doesn't steal a ton of bases. Like, you're lucky if he gets to 15. It's usually 10 to 15, 14 bases, which is what I don't want to draft early in drafts. And that's the biggest thing. Like, he hits for average. He scores a bunch. He scored over 100 runs twice in the last 5 years. He's only played over 140 games twice in the last 5 years. He should pass that this year to make it 3. It's just, if you're for the premium you're paying for Mookie Betts, he has not provided that premium consistently enough to get me to take him early in a draft.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I just wanted to check in because he has been just.
He's been awesome.
He's been
no denying it.
Yeah. But, there are a lot of red flags as well at his age with some of the injury concerns, the lack of stolen bases, the fact that as a whole this year, the numbers are still very, very far down. That barrel rate is pretty ugly for Mookie Betts. It's gotten a little bit better recently, but still one of the worst seasons that he's put together in his career. I don't think anybody's going to really argue that one too much on Mookie's end. Let's talk Jhoan Duran. I saw you tweeted about this, Bubba, yesterday, which made me want to put it onto the show sheet. Jhoan Duran has been maybe the best acquisition from the trade deadline. The Phillies with Duran and Harrison Bader, they made out like gangbusters. They are looking great with those two. But Duran in 17 games with the Phillies, 1.23 ERA, a .82 WHIP, 13 saves and 14 2/3, and he has not walked a batter with a 35% strikeout rate. He's been phenomenal. And even going back to Minnesota here, he has a 1.83 ERA and a 1.09 WHIP for the season. And finally, Bubba, no more Rocco Baldelli to drag down Duran with the 21-22 save seasons. That leads me to asking, is Jhoan Duran the number one closer off the board next year, or at least is he in the conversation? I think that he should be. There's been a lot of closers this year who were very disappointing. You got Clase, who may never pitch again, Devin Williams, Ryan Helsley. There's been a lot of stinkers at the top here. I think Duran is in that conversation for the first closer off the board. What say you?
100%. And this just goes to show you how it changes scenery, changes everything. Because you mentioned the stats in Minnesota, the dude's been a beast. And I think most of us in the fantasy realm have said that year after year. That's always the part you mentioned. Rocco Baldelli screws up the fantasy value for Jhoan Duran because you always got the ratios, you always got the strikeouts, but the saves was the issue. Now look at him, dude. He's on the main stage. Last night, watching him just gas 102 past Soto in high leverage spots, just showed how much of a beast he is. He's very, very good. And there's zero reason in this setting where a team wants to utilize him that he could not be the number one closer in all of baseball.
I think he is. The more I look at it, Mason Miller is going to be very hard to draft next season. I'm not sure what to make of San Francisco with Walker and maybe Rodriguez. I'm not sure if Rodriguez's injury will stretch into next year, but
he's having TJ, so he's pretty much.
Is he having TJ? Okay, I hadn't seen that or I'd forgotten about it, but it's a pretty rough group at the top for closers. If you're drafting early, I think that you are probably taking a couple of early guys because speculating in November and December can lead you to, I have a couple of Alexis Diaz and Luke Weaver teams early on. So I feel like if you're drafting early and you can get a Duran and Diaz combo or something like that, it could be very appealing. And you might see him go off the board as the first closer next year, maybe in the third round or something like that. I want to talk Jesus Luzardo, man. This guy, I started him in my head-to-head league yesterday where I've been dominating in ratios, and I looked up to the first inning, and I'm like, this guy did it again. 4 more earned runs. My DMs were lighting up with people how could he? He did it again. He did it again. And then after those 4 runs in the first inning, Jesus Luzardo ended up throwing 8 frames. He struck out 10. He didn't allow another run after the first inning. And, his season has been very curious, to say the least, because there's been times where Jesus Luzardo has been brilliant. He is still very high up if you're looking at WAR leaderboards and things like that, but it's a 4.03 ERA and a 1.26 WHIP. It's not really anything to write home about from a fantasy point of view. Where are you at on Jesus Luzardo? Is he somebody you'd buy back into for next season, or are you just sick of the headaches like I am at this point?
It's a great conversation to have. A conversation that's been in the Bubba and Loom Discord a lot this season because Luzardo was a very popular target of mine. I love the price tag on him because he's basically free coming over to Philadelphia this year. He won't be free, but I'll be in. I really like what we're seeing here. He had the hiccups early. They mentioned he was potentially tipping pitches. Maybe he was, because if you really look at it, since July 29th, he's made 9 starts. Dude has a 2.91 ERA, a 3.19 xFIP over that stretch of time. We're talking about a 23.6% K to walk. What we saw last night where, we saw the 4 runs coming out the gate, and, you weren't alone. We were like, oh, no, everything's every chat you could be in, Joe, was blowing up. Here we go again. And then the dude just went – I think he shut down 22 in a row or something like that. He was just filthy, absolutely filthy on a big stage, taking down the rivals. I love everything we have to see about this guy. Let's not forget he's battled so many injuries. He hasn't had the long seasons in a while. This is huge for him, and I'm definitely interested in him next year when it comes to draft time.
Yeah, I think I will be too. I think a lot of the frustrations are more anecdotal of just my God, every time I seem to look at the fantasy app, this guy's giving up a bunch of runs. But the season as a whole, like when you are at a 20% strikeout minus walk rate, for me, that is a signifier of you are having an elite season. I don't really care what the other numbers look like. And maybe that's wrong of me. Maybe I'm being a little bit too short-sighted there. But there are 15 pitchers in Major League Baseball who have a 20% strikeout minus walk rate or higher. And I feel like once you hit that number, you are in pretty rarefied air. And Jesus Luzardo is among those names. He's having still a pretty good season, even though it has been frustrating at certain points. If you happen to sit him for those two real stinkers earlier on in the year, then the overall line is looking a lot better for you. Would have been tough to avoid, but I rest my case there. Let's talk Jackson Holliday, another guy that we haven't really talked about enough. He went 2 for 4 with a run and a stolen base yesterday. For the season as a whole, it's 136 games, 17 homers, 16 steals, 54 ribbies. He's hitting .252. It's like the Larry David gif where he goes, it's fine, it's okay. But I feel like maybe we're overrating Jackson Holliday a little bit. At the same time, I'm thinking, well, he's still very young. It's only been a year and a half. So I don't really know where to put him in terms of rankings and stuff. He might blow up next year. He might give you another season that's fairly average next year. Do you think 2026 will be when Jackson Holliday puts it all together finally?
I'll be very interested in it because I look at his monthly splits. I see his numbers. I actually roster him in one league in his 12-team league, and I nearly dropped him a few months back because I was so frustrated that he went on a tear again. It's like every other month for him if you watch his splits. But he's 21, to your point. Super young, top prospect, overall #1 pick, I believe, at one point in time. There's a lot to like in that regard. And we're talking about a second base position, Joe. It's booty. It's bad, like really bad. So if you got a guy that can potentially, if he takes just a small step forward, go 20-20 for you while hitting .260 on an Orioles team that I think we can all agree will be better next year, as long as they don't have a million injuries. I'm very interested in a guy like Jackson Holliday because the hope was there for him. He's kind of showing it, but kind of not. 21, at a bad position. I'm very interested.
Yeah, I think I can be talked into it at the right price. Now, I've seen some people that really like Jackson Holliday and maybe want to pay a price that I wouldn't be comfortable with. In your draft here from a couple weeks ago, I guess it's closer to like a month ago now. He went in the 10th round.
That's not bad. It's 150 picks. That's not bad.
That is fine with me. That is totally fine. If he starts going 4th, 5th round and people are saying, well, he's Matt Holliday's son and blah, 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 that's where I'd start to be a little bit nervous. But that Hall of Fame pedigree is definitely something. Well, I guess Matt Holliday's not a Hall of Famer, but he was close. He was close enough anyway.
He's the Hall of Pretty Good, according to Twitter. They have that Twitter feed is pretty entertaining, I will say.
It is fun stuff. And their Instagram page, too, is like even bigger. It's like 2 or 3 times the size, and they actually do like the votes. They changed their criteria. They used to have you had to be a real kind of niche player, and now they got like Paul Konerko and stuff going in there. It's like, okay, he had like 450 homers. Maybe he's more closer to Hall of Fame than Hall of Pretty Good, but I'll leave that one alone there. But guys, I want to tell you about something rather fun here. We are on YouTube for the first live show on YouTube we've done in quite a while, and we do have a new presenting sponsor, and that is Hard Rock Bet. Everybody knows and loves the Hard Rock hotels and casinos, and now you can use a top-rated Hard Rock Bet sportsbook to place all your bets all NFL season and beyond. Hard Rock Bet is the only legal sportsbook in the state of Florida and is also available in Arizona, Ohio, New Jersey, Indiana, Tennessee, Virginia, Illinois, and Colorado, with more states launching all the time. You best believe when I'm in Arizona in a couple of months, I am going to be checking this out for sure. You can also play on Hard Rock Bet's online casino if you are in New Jersey, like Joey P. From here on out, you'll start to see us use Hard Rock Bet lines more and more when we are talking about the game. So as we gear up for the NFL season and as we enter into week 2, sign up for Hard Rock Bet and make a $5 bet, and you'll get $150 in bonus bets if you win. Head over to Hard Rock Bet, sign up, and make your first deposit today. Guys, let's take a couple of your questions here. Kemp, Berger, or Josh Young in a 5x5 with hits instead of average? It's an interesting question. Berger's picked it up a little bit, but Otto Kemp has been pretty solid himself, Bubba. Where do you lean on this one?
I'm going Berger. Dude's good. I know he says hits, so he doesn't care about power, but I'm assuming the 5x5 there are other factors involved there. So give me Jake Berger.
Yeah, I assume that there's still home run and RBI and run categories. And a home run beautifully helps out with 4 of those categories. So take Jake Berger there. Royce Lewis or Mark Vientos, and would you drop Wilson Contreras for Teal? Oh, man. Ryan and I talked about this on Monday. Willie C. or Teal? It's a tricky one. I don't really have a big problem going either way. I think they're very close. In terms of Lewis or Vientos, I also honestly think it's a coin flip. I think it's really close, but I might go Lewis. Bubba, where are you at on these ones? Very tough questions.
I'm going to go Lewis, but Patrick Corbin on Saturday speaks volumes to Mike Fiantos. I'll go Royce Lewis, though. It's fat. Ryan Nelson, the Mobile Charismat this weekend, and he's swinging it pretty well. So take the chance on Royce. When it comes to the catching situation, I love both of them. I'm hoping Teal gets overlooked with all the young catchers that are balling out this year for 2026. So I kind of actually want to go Teal, honestly, because the White Sox are actually hitting better than the Cardinals right now. So there's more options for Teal.
Man, catcher is going to be fun. I'm really looking forward. I might just sit down and rank catchers tonight, actually, in honor of doing another show with Bubba.
Hey, you want to have a beer? I'll do it with you. Like that's something I do almost every. I was kidding.
Daily catcher rankings. That would be hilarious.
Oh,
imagine updating rankings on a daily basis. I'd lose my mind.
Not going to happen.
Is Sprout starting versus Washington next week? I think I'd probably start myself against Washington at the time being. Bubba, what do you think?
Yeah, no, if you picked Sprout up, you are starting him versus Washington. Yes.
We have Jameson Taillon as a possible 2-star pitcher next week. Let me check my trusty schedule here. Yeah, it looks like he does. It's a beauty, actually. At Pittsburgh, at Cincinnati. That's gold. That's gold, Jerry. Go to the waiver wire. See if you can find Jameson Taillon. That's beautiful stuff. I'm chasing W's, K's, and whip. I have 3 starters available today. Can you rank or eliminate any that are too risky? Trevor Rogers against the Blue Jays, Pablo Lopez against the Diamondbacks, Jonah Tong against Texas. Oh man, Trevor Rogers has been great. Pablo Lopez looked good in his first start back. I think it's Lopez, Rogers, and Tong for me in that order, probably.
I would say that as well. And just Tong did walk a lot of guys his first time. So if you're really worried about whip, be wary. But yeah, Rogers, Lopez, Tong would be my order. I would personally start all 3 if you're chasing wins and Ks. Just know the whip could be in question.
I got this RotoWare shirt that I ordered. They did the Canadian South Park, like how they got the weird faces for the Canadian guys. Yes. They did one with Jonah Tong. I ordered that thing in about 5 seconds.
That would be amazing.
It was fantastic. So yeah, shout out to Kenny and RotoWare. They make some great stuff. Another weekend lineup decision: CI Royce Lewis at home versus Arizona, or Torkelson at Miami in a Roto league. I think I'm going with Royce Lewis right now. He's been cooking with gas, but I don't have a strong opinion either way here.
Yeah, it's who I'm actually thinking Lewis is swinging it better than Torque, but Torque gets Sandy on Friday, but then Jansen, Junk, and Mazur on Saturday and Sunday. Those are 2 elite matchups right now. So I think I lean Torque, weirdly enough.
Okay. Harry asking any 2-star pitchers that catch your eye for next week. Well, Jameson Taillon, I think there's a decent chance that he might have been dropped or available in some leagues. I doubt it still at this point, but Kyle Bradish, as of like a week ago, was still kind of available. If you're playing in deeper leagues or high stakes, forget it. But he gets the White Sox and then the Yankees. Zach Littell at St. Louis versus Chicago is pretty good. Bubba's favorite pitcher in the world, Kyle Freeland, has a 2-start week next week.
Pitch him, I dare you.
It's hilarious because he's actually been like
he's
too
been
bad
good since I started talking trash. He's been really good, which is awesome for my brand.
But the second anybody starts Kyle Freeland in a playoff matchup, you deserve whatever happens at that point. We'll put it that way.
Pretty much. One other I'd mention, I love the Taillon. I love there's a world where Tyler Wells gets a 2-step too if they get goofy. If Kramer doesn't come back Thursday, that's up in the air. But I like the Bradish call. The only other one that is pretty much locked in that I would throw out there is Costanza. Jason Alexander gets Texas and Seattle. He's been pretty good overall as well.
There was one more that I was looking. Oh, yeah, it was Jason Alexander, Texas and Seattle, I think is also a pretty viable one. So there are some options. There are definitely some options, but be careful, right? Like this time of year, you pick up a guy thinking, okay, it's 2 starts next week. And then all it takes is one guy getting moved back, one injury. Joey Wentz last week looked like he was going to have 2 starts. Something gets changed around, and all of a sudden it becomes one not so great start. Do we have any more questions right now? I think that's probably it for right now. So I'll keep throwing the questions in. We'll get back to them if you guys have some a little bit later on. But let's go on to the 3 up and 3 down. Otto Kemp, 2 for 4 with a homer, couple runs and 3 ribbies. He's looking pretty solid. But I really wanted to focus in on Bryce Miller. First time I've actually had any confidence or faith in Bryce Miller, seeing him on the mound. He did allow 4 earned runs, but he struck out 11 over 5 2/3. This is a guy coming into the year that we were talking about as a top 20, top 25 starting pitcher. He was great in 2024. It's been a horrible injury-plagued year for Bryce Miller. Will you buy back in, Bubba?
No, not until he fixes his arm. The fact that he tried to rehab through whatever's going on in that elbow shoulder, whatever anymore, I'm still concerned. It's been 4 earned runs or more in 3 out of 4 starts. This is the first start he racked up strikeouts. He had not done that in the previous 4. Maybe he dominates the next few months and has a good postseason and changes my mind, but I'm probably going to miss out on him. I missed out on Brian Wu for the same reasons, but more often than not, if you avoid these type of pitchers, it does benefit you in the end.
One thing too about the Mariners pitchers, it was more pronounced last season, but their home and away splits are pretty stark. And it's not to say that you like don't want to start them away from T-Mobile. I was about to call it Safeco Field for a second. I don't know what is wrong with me. That's
what I would have said probably. So
way off. But the home and away splits for all these guys do give you a little bit of concern. And when you're talking about, okay, if it's like Wu and Gilbert and Kirby, all right, whatever. But Bryce Miller, a guy who's really struggled this year, that does give me a little bit of extra added concern. So I think I agree that, if he's like post pick 200 or something, sure, but I don't think he'll fall that far. I think he'll still be somebody that people are interested in. And I'm not sure I want to be investing in the immediate future. Stephen Kolek had a really nice stream yesterday, 6 2/3 against Cleveland. 1 earned run on 3 hits, also struck out 4. Very, very nice stuff. What we're hoping for against a team like Cleveland right now on the down. Sawyer Gipson-Long had a brutal outing at Yankee Stadium. 7 earned runs on 7 hits with 3 strikeouts. He didn't start. Technically, it was Tyler Holton, but Sawyer Gipson-Long followed and took the brunt of this one. Jose Soriano lasted just 4 innings against the Mariners, allowed 3 earned runs on 5 hits and 3 walks. And Travis d'Arnaud to wrap it up, just missing the golden sombrero, 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts. Bubba, any deep thoughts on Sawyer Gipson-Long or Jose Soriano? I think for Soriano, I think people view him as maybe a little bit better than he actually is. I think he's more mediocre than good, but I don't know. What do you think about him?
I'm a Soriano fan, streaming wise. Like he's not locked in every time through. He's just been really like more volatile than usual of late, and they keep moving him around. Like he was supposed to pitch on Wednesday, then they moved him to Thursday so they could start someone else. Like they're toying with things, and I don't know if that's great for Jose Soriano as well. Pitches much better at home than on the road. That's been a proven fact. So I like Soriano. I think he's always a guy to target, especially in like a DC format. I think he's great there. But yeah, people probably do like him more than they should.
I don't think he's a bad pitcher. I think he's a fine pitcher. But he's not somebody like I set it and forget it, like you mentioned there. Chris Sanchez at the Dodgers, Blake Snell at Philly, Bayo at Tampa, all worth starting. Blake Snell and Chris Sanchez 100%. I'd start them against the 27 Yankees on the moon at this point. And for Brian Bayo, I think he probably is, but Bubba doesn't seem as interested. He's been good, but the venue's not great in Tampa.
That's what concerns me is the venue. Like Bayo's been good, doesn't strike out a lot of guys. Like if you need to fight for a win, go for it. If you're concerned at all about your ratios, I would temper expectations.
Yeah, I think I have to agree there. I don't know how much I trust him going forward, but Sanchez and Blake Snell, I think, are absolute auto starts. I sat Schindler because yesterday because Detroit had been killing the Yanks and paid the price. Similar fear today with Tong. Should I play him against Texas in a finals matchup if I don't have to? If you don't have to, if you don't feel the need to,
no.
Then no. I wouldn't start Cy Young himself if I didn't need to in a head-to-head matchup. But I also don't think it's going to be a disaster for Jonah Tong. I got him on one of the bets later on today. He's affiliated with one of the bets, so we'll talk about him a little bit later. Let's get into some of the injury updates, and we got a couple of baffling ones off the top here. Anthony Volpe has been playing through a partial tear in his labrum for most of the season, but the Yankees don't believe he'll need to go on the IL. Yankees, I think he might need to go on the IL, just based on the fact that he kicks the ball around the infield every time I happen to see him play. He's an 81 WRC+. He's been bad. He's been straight up bad. I don't know what they're doing here, Bubba. This, I think, happened in May, and I guess they're worried about, like, who are we going to put out at short? Maybe not the injured guy who's struggling the whole year.
Makes sense why he can't throw the ball. That's a start. He has a cortisone shot on Wednesday. Apparently, he had one at the All-Star break, too, that we did not know about until yesterday. About 4 different moments yesterday, different news came out about how bad the shoulder is. Like, the latest MRI this week showed more of a tear than before. Okay, then maybe stop. Just throwing this out there. I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn Express, but maybe don't do this.
I don't understand it. There's just so much stupidity that I'm seeing, and I don't really understand it. We got a super chat actually, though. Start Lucas Giolito today. Giolito's matchup is who is Giolito? Who are they facing, Bubba?
It's the Yankees at home in Boston. I'd start Giolito.
Yeah, I think you are. I think you are. It gives me a little bit of pause. He's another guy like Bayo. I think it's almost the same thing. Like I trust him because he's been pitching really well right now, but like a guy I want to invest in, like for next season, looking forward. I don't know necessarily. The Yankees worry me a little bit. I think you're starting him, but he doesn't give me that warm and fuzzy feeling at the same time, if that makes sense with Mr.
Yep.
Giolito.
Yep.
Thank you for the super chat, though. Really do appreciate that coming in here. And here's another baffling one. Mason Wynn, diagnosed with a meniscus tear in his right knee that will require offseason surgery. He's been told it's unlikely he'll do additional damage if he continues to play. But he was out of the lineup for both Tuesday and Wednesday. Haven't seen a Friday lineup yet. But Bubba, what are they doing? This is a team that is completely out of the race. This is their shortstop of the future. Why not just shut him down? I don't get it.
I agree. I had the same comments on last night's Bubba in the Blue. I'm like, they're out of it. He's the shortstop of the future. You have Thomas Segasi that can fill in, who's also a potential middle infielder of the future. What are we doing?
It's the Cardinals, man. It's been a free fall over the last, I don't know, really since Pujols left, I guess. There was a couple of good years afterwards. I went to another World Series, but man, like really, really ugly stuff. I don't know what they're doing. Just sit him down. You're not playing for anything. He's been killing fantasy teams where people have still been starting him. Just enough already. Joe Adell returned to the Angels lineup on Wednesday, but was scratched again on Thursday as he continues to battle vertigo. We had a question about him as well. We don't see this injury kind of that often. I just lost Tucker and Anthony. Any insight on the timeline for Joe Adell? I have none, to be honest with you, because he was back in the lineup. It looked like he was going to be in the lineup on Tuesday as well, and then he was scratched. It really does seem day to day at this point. Another team where I feel like, honestly, they're not playing for anything. I don't think they can't even delude themselves into thinking they can at this point. 69 and 78. Shut him down. It's a guy who is on a 40 home run pace for your team. He finally figured it out this year. You don't want to push him through vertigo playing meaningless games, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing is you said you don't know. The Angels don't know. Like literally every day this week, he's outside of against Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. He's been in the lineup. Tuesday and Thursday, he was scratched an hour before the game. Like he goes through warmups, and that's when they decide, okay, he can or he can't. It's almost worse than a concussion, honestly. It's wild what he's going through. So there's really nothing you can do, and it's an absolute shame because the Angels actually have a good series, and they go to Colorado next week. So yeah.
It really is a shame. But IR, thank you for that question, the Lucas Giolito question. He says, thanks, Joe and Bubba. I love the show and listen to both of your own shows. Very, very much appreciated, my friend. Thank you so much for that. Let's talk Reed Detmers. Another bit of good news for the Angels here. Reed Detmers going on the 15-day IL with elbow inflammation. Baffling career for Reed Detmers. I feel like I don't even know what I'm doing anymore when I look at the stats underneath the surface. Reed Detmers should be good. Reed Detmers should have been a very good pitcher. Relegated to the bullpen, had a mediocre year out of the pen. Now he's dealing with elbow stuff. You think we'll ever see Reed Detmers flourish as a starting pitcher, or do you think he's going to be relegated to these bullpen middle relief type of roles?
I'd love to see him as a starting pitcher because I'm with you. I've been Team Reed for a while. He's basically doing what we hoped Reed could do is what Andrew Abbott's doing. That's but they have the flip script. Like Reed has the underlying stuff, the Cato walks. That's all freaking beautiful, and it doesn't work out. So I hope so. He also could turn into a really good closer. So he's got the goods for that too. So that's maybe that's a transition he has to make, and we'll see where it goes. Bright side is they kind of got to whatever injury this is early, and it looks like there's nothing too serious. Angels are out of it. Let him rest. Get ready for 2026.
That's hopefully what's going to happen here. When you see elbow, it always gives you pause. Hopefully no surgical procedures, but it doesn't look like it at this point. William Contreras had to miss Wednesday's game with a forearm contusion and will be reevaluated before tonight's series opener against the Cardinals. Bubba, concern level here for your boy Wild Bill.
Wild Bill, yes, good old Wild Bill. I am not another guy that was in the lineup beforehand. He hadn't had a day off in forever. They say like originally the beat writers thought it was legit, just giving the guy a breather on a day game here. I think we're fine. He played through a fractured pinky or whatever, so I think we're good.
Yeah, I think I got to agree. He's really turned his season around. Just hoping this is nothing too serious, and obviously it's not a good time of year for fantasy managers. But just hoping that nothing keeps Willie out for too long. Chase Dollander expected to head to the IL with a knee injury. My God, we were looking at this myself and Paul Sporer the other day, and the home and away splits for Chase Dollander are some of the most hilarious extreme splits you will ever see in your life. At home, he has a 9.98 ERA. The opposing slash line is 337, 417, 577. He's essentially facing a Hall of Famer every time he throws a pitch at home. On the road, it's a 346 ERA with a 200 batting average against. Are you holding out hope for Dollander? If you're a dynasty manager, like where are you at on him in terms of the long run? Because Colorado has control for the next 5 or 6 years, and you can't really draft him as a starting pitcher in Colorado. But will you hold out hope that he can figure it out somewhere else down the line, maybe?
You hold out hope that the skills are great. In Dynasty, can you wait 5 or 6 years? No. I think he's phenomenal for a DC, Joe, because you could legit just start him on the road. Like that's
Yeah.
because it goes to show you, and you read the stats. Coors Field is undefeated, folks. It
Yep.
just is, at least for the Rocky starting pitchers. They just, outside of like an Ubaldo Jimenez and a Herman Marquez, like one season each, nothing has worked.
Yeah, Eric Cross was asking this on Twitter the other day. Our friend Eric Cross, do you think Tariq Skubal would have a sub-3 ERA pitching at Coors Field? I think he would, but it's also like Coors Field is tricky. Like the best pitcher they've ever had probably is Ubaldo Jimenez, and he was like a 3.5 ERA at home.
Yeah.
I feel like Skubal would be pretty close, but to your point, like they don't have good pitchers, and maybe part of it is that they were okay pitchers that they brought up, but just Coors Field just absolutely ruined any prospects for their career. So Dollander, I feel like if he ever gets traded, I would be very interested. For right now, like you said, Bubba, if he's a draft champions type of pick in the 30s or the 40s, you start him 10, 12 times, you're happy. In standard 10 and 12 team leagues, I think he is a very, very hard player to target. Xander Bogaerts has been cleared to resume baseball activities and might play again this season. Might being the operative word. Any interest in stashing Xander Bogaerts here, Bubba, if you need a middle infielder?
Not really, because that word might kind of hampers things right now when I need all I can get out of my roster.
Agreed. Two more pitchers here on the injury front. Cole Reagans will have another rehab start tonight at AAA Omaha. I think if he's available and he's like a free pickup or whatever, it doesn't hurt. Like maybe you get one start out of him. Maybe you get two in the fantasy championships for you in head-to-head leagues. I don't know that it's going to be like a big contribution necessarily, but if you're looking at the waiver wire and Reagans has a start versus, the average streamer, Bubba, would you be interested there?
Yeah, I'd be interested at that point. He's supposed to go 4 to 5 innings tonight, and if that actually pans out, then he can maybe give you a couple starts of 5 innings or so. The Royals are technically still in the race, so we'll see where that goes, and they want to get him at least ready just in case they make it to the postseason. So he could be in play.
I think that ship has sailed, but that could be where they're at still for sure. Mike Soroka, last bit of injury news here, threw 38 pitches in a rehab start and struck out 3 over 2 1/3. But it doesn't look like, based on that pitch count, that he's going to really be built up enough to matter again this season. But I honestly do like Mike Soroka. I feel like next season he would be a decent, deep, not even a mid-round. I think he's a deep draft pick next year that could pay some dividends. Some of the supporting numbers are pretty decent for Mike Soroka. But that will lead us into my favorite segment of the show, the best bets of the day. Bubba, what do you have for the people here to send them off for this fine Friday?
All right. The usual mess of hits, runs, and RBIs. People must love these props by now. But we're going to start with big Vinnie P, the Sasquatch himself. I don't know if anybody's aware, but we have the return of Walker Buehler on the mound in Philadelphia tonight, of all places. Pretty good hitters ballpark. Vinnie P over 3 hits, runs, and RBIs at plus 140. Lock that one in. Just hit his 30th home run of the year on Thursday. We'll get back to him later. Bryce Terang over 3 hits, runs, and RBIs at plus 145. The Brew Crew is feeling it at the plate, and they get to place Andrew Palante. So Terang leading off should be able to get going there. And then I'm going to keep riding the roller coaster at Jackson Merrill. He went deep again on Thursday. He's actually hitting really, really well over the last week. Like, we're getting back to kind of looking at the guy everyone loved early in drafts. I still don't, but he's getting better. Over 3 hits, runs, and RBIs at plus 140 as the San Diego Padres take on Mr. Gordon of Colorado. So love those matchups there.
I love Jackson Merrill, man. I know it's been a bad year for him, but I'm kind of just going to throw it away when evaluating him. I think it's just a lost year. Similarly to what happened with Bo Bichette last year, when you deal with injuries and it's just a down season, the numbers are going to look terrible. But I feel like when we look back in a few years on Jackson Merrill, 2025 will be the outlier bad year. Somebody that I really, really like. For me, I'm looking at an over, an under, and a strikeout prop. So we're starting with Texas and the Mets. Jacob deGrom and Jonah Tong here. I'm taking under 7.5 runs. Now, Tong is a little bit worrisome, potentially. Maybe you mentioned those walk issues in his last start, but I really like Jonah Tong. I might be a little bit biased here, but I really like Jonah Tong. I think that the stuff is fantastic going up against Jacob deGrom and getting this one close to even money. I'll take the under 7.5. The Angels and Seattle, we're going the other side here, and we are going over. This is Yusei Kikuchi, who has been absolutely miserable for a while, going up against Luis Castillo, who's also, I know he had a good start, his most recent start, but by and large, Luis Castillo has been pretty poor as of late. So I'm taking the over 7.5 runs in that game at minus 122. And then Jacob deGrom, I know I'm not beating the allegations of loving my guys. I love my guys. Jacob deGrom over 6.5 strikeouts at plus 116. He hasn't been going as deep into games recently, but the strikeout totals have been there for him, more so in the second half of the season than they were early on. So 6.5 does feel like a very gettable line here at plus 116. If you guys are looking for help with placing your bets, though, do check out the prop bet cheat sheet from Betting Pros. It does help you with placing your bets on a given day. If you're looking for new markets, you're looking for the best lines, the prop bet cheat sheet is where you should be looking. Let's take a look now at the home run board. I believe we have a home run board. We do. And Whips is at the top here with 60, followed by George at 59, Positive Grouch 58, tied with Bees as well at 58, and then the Fisher King at 57. Whips is not pulling away, but at the top there with just a couple weeks left, so potentially could be winning the signed Sammy Sosa jersey. That one will be fun to see what happens down the stretch here. Bubba, you did leave some foreshadowing on your home run call. Let's hear it, my friend.
Yeah, Walker Buehler in his first AAA start for the Phillies, his first batter he faced hit a home run off of him. So he's still on brand right now. The Royals should have a field day. Yeah, they're a bad offense, but they should have some fun in the first 3 innings or so on Friday night. And that means Vinnie Pasquantino faces them at least twice. I think Vinnie Pasquantino's going deep, homer number 31 in the bank on Friday evening.
Walker Buehler, man, take those overs. Bet the overs. As I say that, he's probably going 6 shutout. But
yeah, no, I jinxed it completely. I'll take my chances more often than not.
The ghost of Walker Buehler with no sticky stuff post TJ. No good. For my home run call, I am taking the Ben Verlander special. I'm saying that Shohei is going to take Justin Verlander yard today and leave Ben not knowing what to do with himself. So that is my pick. Couple of last questions here. Semifinals matchup. Both Ottos are out there. Kemp and Lopez. Which one are you taking? I like Otto Lopez quite a bit, Bubba, but I like both of them. I think they're both viable pickups.
Yeah, both are very good pickups. I go. They got both Ottos. You got the bus driver and the substitute bus driver, as we call him. I think Lopez, if you want a better floor, Kemp's got the ceiling though. Especially if you're using him for the weekend, you want this just for one day. But Kemp's got a good set of matchups versus Kansas City in that ballpark.
All right, drop PCA for Otto, Benintendi, or Hap. Holy crap! I think I'm pretty okay with it, Bubba. Who would you drop him for?
This might surprise people, but I'm going to say Benny Biceps. He has a really good schedule coming up. Like he's got Bybee and Ciccone and Messick this weekend, which could be a little tricky. But next week they get 5 lefties in 6 games, and it's pretty favorable, especially over the weekend. So I'm just going to ride the hot hand of Benny Bicep these days.
I think I would too. It's been a pretty underrated season for him. He's had a pretty quality career. He's not somebody that's been like a big fantasy asset, really, for his career, but a very solid career for Benintendi, and he's got paid. So congrats to him on a very good career. Not that it's over yet. Looking for second base help with speed, head-to-head, Caballero, Holliday, or Stott. I might go Stott if you really need speed. Or no, if you need speed, I might go Caballero, actually.
It's Caballero, especially if Volpe's missing more time right now. Caballero had 2 more steals on Thursday night. Yeah. He's running wild. So it's Caballero. So if Volpe gets shut down, Caballero's going to be very valuable for 2 weeks.
Yeah, the speed has been there. I'm not sure if it's him or Chandler Simpson at the top of the speed leaderboard, but they are neck and neck there.
Caballero has 33 steals, I think, in his part-time role this season.
That's phenomenal. I mean, last year he kind of did the same thing, and then going into draft season, everybody was like, I don't want anything to do with Caballero, and he essentially carbon copied exactly what he did. Drop PCA for Bader in a heartbeat, absolutely, no question there. Yes. And the last question, what pitchers are we streaming today? Lord, Keller, Perez. Today is not my favorite day for
none of the above.
Yeah, none of the above, really, if you can avoid it. Perez gets Cleveland. I guess it's not the end of the world, but yeah, honestly, it's kind of a stay away day for me. There's nobody that I feel great about, especially if you're in a head-to-head league and you're trying to secure a championship. It's pretty dark out there.
Yeah, most teams have their aces going for the most part. So if there is a stream available, I am probably I'm just scrolling through the rosters. Martin Perez versus the Guardians, I have no problem with. Guardians are horrific. Yeah. And Martin Perez got hit around his last start, but before that's been great. So if you want a streamer, that's pretty much the only streamer I see viable for today. JP Sears, he's getting a spot start versus the Rockies, but I don't know if that's in play.
You're taking your life in your own hands with JP Sears.
To my point, there's no one good out there.
Yeah. Love the questions that are reasonable today, but would seem insane a few months ago. It's the best thing, right?
Yes.
Am I dropping Spencer Strider for Tyler Wells? Absolutely, you're doing it. And a couple months ago, A couple months ago, you're getting taken off to the padded room for even suggesting it. Come on, Joe. Should have said holy hap. The pun was right there. It's Friday. It's Mail It In Friday. We are not as clever as we are at the beginning of the week, but we will wrap it up there, guys. I really appreciate all you guys finding the show. I know we made it a little bit tricky for you guys, gave you a little bit of a detour with the whole Twitch back to YouTube thing, but really appreciate you guys finding us. Lots of chatter, super chats, and all the rest of it. Very much appreciated. Bubba, great getting to do the show with you again today. You won't be here, though, on Monday, so I'm getting your co-host back in the chair. This guy right here.
He's got the shirt.
Mr. Ryan Bloomfield will be sitting in the co-host chair on Monday, so join us as we recap the weekend, talk about any injuries, best bets, and do all that great stuff. But for Casey Bubba, I am Joe Orrico. We'll talk to you next time right here on Fantasy Pros. Take care, everybody. I appreciate the live YouTube as I never downloaded Twitch. Well, we're back, guys. We are back. Make sure you're leaving your comments on the video, liking, subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so. YouTube, podcast feed, all the rest. Really appreciate it, guys. Have a great week.